Let's be straight about it. Let me tell you what's actually happening. People are saying that Harry and Meghan's marriage is falling apart so fast that everyone's talking about divorce, and not sometime way off in the future, but soon. The couple doesn't act like a team anymore. And all the signs show a relationship that might already be falling apart behind closed doors, emotionally, at work, and personally. So if you've been asking yourself what's really going on with Harry and Meghan, get ready because I'm about to tell you everything that's actually happening behind the scenes. People close to them say Harry and Meghan's marriage wasn't kept together by love and romance. It was kept together by chaos. Yes, actual chaos. Sources say their relationship worked best when the world was coming after them, blaming them, criticizing them. Instead of getting close and connecting, they apparently did well on drama, headlines, and that us against them feeling like two kids who only get along when they're planning to cause trouble. One person close to them even said it straight up. They don't really like anything about each other. Ouch! Think about that for a second. A marriage that only works when everything's going wrong, that's not a honeymoon. That's like hiding in a storm shelter. And as long as they were fighting the world together, they felt united. But once things started quieting down, that strong team feeling started disappearing. It's almost like their relationship wasn't built on being peaceful. It was built on being in panic mode. And when the storm dies down, what's left? Now this part. Oh, this is where things go from emotional to planned out. Because according to a February 2025 Vanity Fair report, someone working with Meghan's team supposedly reached out to a book company to ask a very specific question. If Harry and Meghan got divorced, would they want to publish a book about Meghan's life after the divorce? Not a book looking back at the marriage, not a royal reflection, a story about life after divorce. Let that sink in. This wasn't after they broke up. This wasn't after any announcement. This was while they were still married. The person reportedly made it clear that the couple was not getting divorced, at least not publicly, but still wanted to know if a book about post-divorce life would sell. And here's the creepy detail. Harry and Meghan didn't challenge the claim, and they're usually super quick to shut down stories they don't like. Being quiet in this case wasn't saying no. It was interesting. Nothing was signed. No book draft. No contract. But the question was asked. And questions like that don't come out of nowhere. If being creatively divorced was like a rehearsal, this felt like the first legal hint. The first official sign that someone was thinking about a world where Harry and Meghan were no longer a couple, but two separate stories with two separate futures. If you think everything I just said showed the first spark of them splitting up, this part is the full fire. Sources say the real blow-ups were happening inside the house because every time a scandal hit their name, and there were many, Harry and Meghan reportedly went from team us to not even talking. Here's the big problem. They supposedly wanted totally opposite ways of handling bad press. Meghan, according to people who know, she wanted to fight back. Loud, bold, aggressive, fix the story, take the stage, set the record straight. Publicly, dramatically, right away. Harry? He reportedly wanted the opposite. Stay quiet. Stay calm. Be careful. Less talking. Fewer interviews. Fewer headlines. He was tired of the circus, tired of the backlash, tired of feeling like every move turned into a disaster. So inside their home, it was her strategy versus his strategy, ego versus ego, fire versus ice. And every time a new controversy came up, bullying accusations, race claims, brand damage, the fights reportedly got worse. Sources describe it as crisis after crisis, huge fights where they blew up at each other. At one point, people close to them say Harry felt buried under endless negative publicity, like he was stuck in a tornado he couldn't get out of. Meghan, on the other hand, was angry about how bad their brand looked and wanted to fight harder. Imagine two people in a sinking boat. One screaming to row faster, the other begging to stop rocking the boat. Eventually, frustration turns into bitterness. Bitterness turns into blame. And blame, that's the poison no marriage can survive. Behind closed doors, the royal fairy tale was sounding a lot more like a reality TV meltdown. Up until now, Harry has looked like the loyal soldier standing beside Meghan, defending her, fighting critics, and acting like the ultimate loyal husband who's got her back no matter what. But according to people close to them, something inside him broke. Sources say Harry has been wanting deeply for the one thing he walked away from: home. The UK, not LA glamour, not Hollywood fame, not Netflix cameras, but the simple, familiar life he used to know. Word from people close to him says Harry misses being liked, misses regular laughter, his old friends, the nights at the pub, the sports, the feeling of belonging he once had. And the real kicker, many believe he realized he doesn't get that feeling when he's standing next to Meghan. Sources say he hates the Hollywood lifestyle, the constant branding, the performance, the struggle to stay relevant. To him, it's weird, foreign, exhausting, like wearing clothes that never fit right. And that feeling only got stronger as their public image went downhill. People close to them describe Harry as pushed to the side, like he's a background character in a story that's no longer his. Then came the solo trips, the birthdays spent alone, the quiet distance, the quiet thoughts. And those thoughts, according to sources, were simple. I want my old life back. Not a palace throne, not royal power, just peace. The story changes here because Harry isn't just tired. He's homesick. Homesick for a world without chaos, without cameras, without constant battles. And once a man starts dreaming of getting away, he's already halfway out the door. Now here's where the stakes go from emotional to life-changing. Because according to reports, Harry and Meghan weren't just partners in marriage, they were partners in a brand. And when the brand fell apart, so did they. Let's talk numbers, because numbers don't lie. Royal favorability trackers reported Harry was viewed positively by only 28% and later seen negatively by 58% of the public. Meghan dropped to 20% positive and eventually 66% negative, putting her near the bottom of royal public opinion. That's not a dip. That's a free fall. Meanwhile, people close to them say Meghan was frustrated by her fall from being popular, and the tension over failed projects became a constant source of drama inside the home. And here's the brutal truth. When your marriage also doubles as your brand becomes the marriage. So if the public stops cheering, the partnership stops working. Every bad headline wasn't just a PR problem. It was a marriage problem. Every flop wasn't just a business failure. It was a personal crack. Success brought them together. Failure pushed them apart. They weren't winning together anymore. They weren't even walking in the same direction. The brand was now falling apart. And the marriage was falling apart with it. Now while Harry is turning inward, Meghan, according to royal watchers and biographers, is showing a very familiar pattern. A pattern of moving on. Royal biographer Hugo Vickers summed it up in a way that made the entire conversation stop. People act in character, and Meghan's pattern, he claims, is to cut ties when they no longer help her life's direction. He listed them: her father Thomas Markle, her first husband, her former partner, the Canadian chef, her close friend Jessica, the entire royal family. One by one, snip, snip, snip. According to Vickers, every previous chapter of her life ended with her stepping away, creating distance, and rewriting her story from the center. Always positioning herself as the one who was wronged, the one who was misunderstood, the survivor. And then he asked the question that echoed across every headline. So who's next for the chop? He suggested almost creepily that eventually there would come a time when Meghan might decide she doesn't need Harry anymore. And if that moment comes, the story, he claims, would likely paint her as the victim and Harry as the problem. Not because she admits she was wrong, but because she supposedly never does. It's a pattern, and patterns don't lie. And if Meghan's path is forward into Hollywood, forward into solo projects, forward into her own empire, then what happens to the men standing behind her? What happens to the husband who no longer fits the script? This part of the story asks a cold question. What if the separation isn't an accident? What if it's a cycle? Here's where we step back far enough to see the full picture. Harry and Meghan's entire relationship, according to people close to them, was built on storms. They bonded when the world was loud, hostile, chaotic. The chaos made them feel united, powerful, unbreakable. But storms don't last forever. The headlines slowed down. The drama stopped being exciting. The public turned cold. The spotlight got dimmer. And suddenly, there weren't teammates fighting the world. There were two people standing in silence. Harry facing backward toward home, toward simplicity, toward the life he lost. Meghan facing forward toward starting over. Hollywood, new projects, new stages, two pasts, two dreams, no overlap, no shared future. People close to them now say they're creatively divorced. Others whisper living separately. And some sources warn they may be legally divorced soon. But here's the twist. If this relationship began in a storm, maybe it ends in silence. Not a dramatic announcement, but a quiet fade out. A soft exit. A cold final chapter. A marriage that simply stops. And that's where this story leaves us. A marriage that started with fire, now flickering out to embers. Two lives already drifting apart. And a silence that feels less like a pause and more like the end.